Hello friends, this is Shri and you are learning ASP.NET MVC 5 tutorial step by step. So this is part 13 and in this tutorial we are going to understand HTML helpers in ASP.NET MVC 5. So in this tutorial we are going to understand what is HTML helpers in ASP.NET MVC, type of HTML helpers, how to use inline HTML helpers on view, example of inline HTML helpers, and interview question and homework. So those all are the points we are going to cover in this tutorial step by step. So before proceeding this video, I will request you to, if you haven't watched the previous tutorial of this series, then please go ahead and watch. That will be helpful to understand more detail about HTML controls. So let's start. So first one is, what is HTML helpers in MVC? So HTML helpers are methods that return a string. So HTML helpers are nothing but a method, and the return type of the HTML helpers is a string. So the HTML helpers class can create the HTML control programmatically, and the HTML helpers are used in a view to render the HTML content. So we can create the HTML control programmatically with the help of helper class, and the HTML helpers are used to render the HTML content on a view. So it is not mandatory to use the HTML helpers classes for building an ASP.NET MVC application. So we can without using the HTML helpers, HTML helper classes, we can build an ASP.NET MVC application. So it is not mandatory, so we should use the HTML helpers. So we can build an ASP.NET MVC application without using the HTML helper classes, but the HTML helper classes help in the rapid development of a view. So the HTML helpers help us to develop the fast application for the, and HTML helpers are more lightweight as compared to ASP.NET web form controls, as the HTML controls do not use the view state and it do not have the event model. So we can say the HTML helpers are more lightweight as compared to ASP.NET web form controls. Means why? Because the HTML controls do not use the view state. So but the ASP.NET web form controls use the view state, and the HTML controls also do not have the event model, but the ASP.NET web form controls does have the event models. So that's why the HTML helpers are more lightweight as compared to the ASP.NET web form controls. And ASP.NET MVC has a built-in helpers method, so we can use to develop the web application. So if you want to create our custom HTML helpers, then we can also create our custom helper class HTML helpers and we can use on the view. Those all are the points about HTML helpers in ASP.NET MVC. So next one is type of HTML helpers in ASP.NET MVC. So HTML helpers are categorized into three types: inline HTML helper, built-in HTML helper, and the built-in HTML helpers again categorized into three types. So first one is standard HTML helper, second one is the strongly typed HTML helpers, and third one is the templated HTML helpers. So these three types are as part of the built-in HTML helpers. So last one is the custom HTML helpers. So in this tutorial we are going to understand inline HTML helpers in detail, and the other HTML helpers we are going to understand in the upcoming tutorial of this series. So first one is the inline HTML helpers on a view. So create the inline HTML helper method by using the razor@helper tag. So we can create the inline HTML helper with the help of @helper tag, and the name inline itself says that the inline means we can use the HTML helper within the same view. It's just like we can use the inline CSS inside the view. We can create the inline CSS, and that inline CSS we can only use within the same view or the same HTML pages. So we cannot use the inline CSS to the different view or different HTML pages. So the concept is same here. The inline HTML helpers is also used for within the same view, and the inline HTML helper are reusable within the same view. So the syntax of creating the inline HTML helpers is @helper name parameters curly bracket open and close. We can write the code inside the curly bracket. So we will go with programmatically and understand more detail about the inline HTML helpers. Flip to Visual Studio. So flip to Visual Studio. So go to File, New, click on Project. So we create one project. So select the web, select the ASP.NET web application template and provide the meaningful name. So I will simply say MVC 5 inline HTML helper demo. Click on OK. Select the empty template and check the MVC checkbox and click on OK. After created the project, first we will add one empty controller. So first we will add the controller. So to add the controller, right click on the controller, go to add, click on controller and select the MVC 5 controller and click on add and provide the name, click on add. Yeah, so we will create one view. So right click on the action method and click on add view. So and click on provide the view name. So I am say index same and click on add. So to understand the inline HTML helpers, we are going to create the helper for the integer type. So we are going to understand how to create the helper for the integer, how to create the HTML helper for the string, and how to create the HTML helpers for the list of string. So first we will go with one by one and understand more detail. So the syntax of creating the inline HTML helper is @helper and we can provide the helper name. So first we will say add helper. So it will provide the addition of number int a comma int b, curly bracket open and close. So we can write code here, create one label and we can add. So we can say addition of two number is, and I want to print the addition of number a plus b. So this is the inline HTML helpers, and we can use these inline HTML helpers in one div. So we create one div, and inside the div, so to use the inline helper, so we can simply say @ and name of the HTML helpers, add helpers, and we need to pass the two parameter, int a comma int b. Int a I will pass 100 and int 2 I will say 200. So simple. So you can say so you can see here, first we have created one HTML helper, inline HTML helper, with the help of @ helper razor tag, and name of this HTML helper, and provide the list of parameter and curly bracket open and close, and write some code to add the addition of number. So and here we have we have call this helper from inside the div, from the div. So first we will run the application and see the result. Yeah, so you can see here result is addition of two number is 300. So it is, and so this is the inline HTML helpers, and we can use this helper within the same page. So we cannot use this helper, this HTML helper, to the different view pages. So and it is a reusable view. So for example, I want to use in the different div tag. So for example, create one div, and so I will provide some ID here. So I can say ID is, this is a div 2, and I will add some style, background color is gray. So I want to use the same helper here, add helper, and I want to pass the different parameter. So here I have passed 200 and 300, and so here I want to addition of two number is 500 and for example 600. So save the changes, go to view, and refresh the page. So you can see here this is the same another result, addition of two number is 1100. So we can create one inline HTML helper, and we can use the multiple times the same HTML helper within the same page. So you can see we have used this is one time and this is the second time, and we can use and many more times as per your requirement. So first we have understand how to use the integer parameter to the inline HTML helpers. Next we are going to create one more helper for the string parameter. So I will say string helper, and it will, or we can say print. So we can provide any required name as per your requirement. So I will say print helper, and in this I want to use some string as a parameter. So create one label, and inside this label we simply print the message. So whatever message we have passed, that message I want to print. So simple, we have created one print helper as a HTML helper, so as a parameter, string type parameter. So first we understand how to pass the integer type to the inline HTML helper, and next we are going to understand how to pass the string type to the inline HTML helpers. So I will remove this one. So instead of add helper, I will say print helper, and the print helper has the string type of parameter, and we can pass some string here. Welcome to ASP.NET MVC 5 tutorial. Tutorials step by step. And same we can reusable here also. Welcome to Learn ASP.NET MVC 5. So this is the two different string we have passed to the print helper method. So print helper method is the same, but we have used this print helper in a two different div. So here I will provide the ID div 1, and I can provide one style, background color, I will say yellow. Yes, now we can refresh the page and see the result. So you can see welcome to ASP.NET MVC 5 tutorial step by step, and second, welcome to Learn ASP.NET MVC 5. So this is the use of inline HTML helpers for the string as a parameter. Next we are going to understand how to create the inline HTML helpers for the list of string or list of any parameter. So list of string. So we create a syntax for creating the inline HTML helper. So we can create the inline HTML helper with the help of @helpers, @helper, and we can say this is the list helper, and list helper can have the array of string, and we can pass str list. Create one order list, and inside the order list we use some for each. So in the previous tutorial we have understand how to use the for each in Vue. So if you are new with this tutorial, then please go ahead and watch. So we have created the for each, and for each iterate from the collection. So the str list, instead of collection we pass the collection str list. Created the for each, and inside the for each we use the list, and inside the list we simply print the atom. So this is the very simple so we have created one list helper. So this is the list helper so we have created the list helper @helper. This is the helper name, list helper, and we have, this is the parameter string array, and just we created one order list, and inside the order list we have used the for each loop, iterate from the collection, and we print the atom one by one. So I want to use the list helper in the two different div. So first we need to create two different array list. So why? Because the list helper has the string of array parameter. So to create the string of array parameter, we simply say curly bracket open and string open and close. So we create one string array. So str, we can say books string of array, and we can define the name of the book. We can say ASP, so C#.net, or we can say ASP.NET MVC, or ASP.NET Core, or we can say VB.NET, or Web API. So this is the list. So we want to display print this string book inside the div 1. So first I will print book name list, and I want to print list helper, and list helper can have string of array parameter, and we have created the string of array here, str book. We can pass simply str book here. Save the changes, and first we will refresh the page. So you can see book list name C#.NET, ASP.NET MVC, ASP.NET Core, VB.NET, and Web API. So we will create one more array to display in a div 2. Instead of books, I will say languages, and inside that I will remove this one. So C#.NET, VB.NET, F#.NET, and JavaScript, and so on. Programming languages. So I want to print list. I want to use the list helper, and we can pass the str languages as a string collection. So save the changes and refresh the page. So we'll see the second programming languages: C#.NET, VB.NET, F#.NET, and JavaScript. So this is the very simple use of inline HTML helpers. So we have understand how to create the inline HTML helpers. So for integer as a parameter. Second, we have understand how to create the HTML helpers for as a string parameter. And next we have understand how to create the inline HTML helpers with a string of array. And also we have understand how to reuse the same HTML helper in multiple times. So we have understand this is the list helper, this is the same list helper within the same page, and we have reused in a div 1 and div 2 in a couple of times. So next one is interview question and homework. So many interviewer ask the question on this part is what is HTML helpers in ASP.NET MVC and use of inline HTML helpers in ASP.NET MVC. So if you understand my tutorial, then definitely you can provide the best answer of this question. So next one is the homework. So create the inline HTML helper for list of student. So just we have created for the list of book and a list of languages. So same like you can create one inline HTML helpers for the list of student. So like @HTML student list helper, and it has the string collection parameter create, and so you can use the HTML code. So that's all from this tutorial. Thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe my channel and add your valuable comment. Thank you. Thanks for watching my video.